Tila nalinawan na nga si Congressman LUISTRO nang makita nito ang mga isinumiteng ebidensya ni former President Rodrigo Duterte patungkol umano sa mga anomalyang ginawa ni Digong noong ito pa ang namumuno sa bansa. Ayon kay Congressman LUISTRO, malinaw daw sa ebidensya na nagsasabi ng totoo si Rodrigo Duterte, subalit nais naman daw ni Paduano ng mas malalim pang investigasyon dahil hindi umano ito kampante sa pakulo ni Rodrigo Duterte. Narito panoorin kung paano pilit dinidiin ng ilang kongresista si former President.
Congressman Rog Gutierrez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just a few questions, and actually this could have been an interjection, just to clarify po, no? But I'd like to direct our questions to our guest, si Ms. Rose Nonolin. Good evening po. So, Mr. Chair, if all is well, I'll proceed with my questioning. Ms. Lin, good evening. Mr. Chair, just to clarify po, no, because I know you've been answering this previously already quite a lot, although I'd just like to clarify. To give context, your name was mentioned in the previously presented matrix, and it raises a lot of questions. Of course, that's a reason why we have this hearing, to really clarify po kung, especially to hear your side on these matters. My understanding, Mr. Chair, is that Ms. Lynn Orwell-Go was already asked about yung formally biological. No relation to formally pharmaceutical.
Yes.
However, is it correct to state that when you mentioned earlier that formally biological, what was the nature, just to clarify again, ano po yung nature ng formally biological corporation?
Ang nature po sana nun na magiging business nun ay magtatayo po ng laboratory sa paggawa ng gamot.
And this is no longer functioning?
No po.
You mentioned earlier that, I think one of the congressmen mentioned that there were links between formally biological to formally Philippines holdings. You mentioned na wala pong link. Were you able to verify kung may link po?
Link po. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Pakiulit po ng tanong.
Sorry. Were you able to verify? Because earlier you answered in the negative when you were asked po if there was any link between formally biological, in which you are a incorporator po, no? And formally Philippines holdings.
Mr. Chair, wala pong formally
Philippines holdings.
holdings po. Wala po.
Mr. Chair, may we ask the Secretary to flash the first slide that we asked to be prepared?
Secretariat.
Based on the corporate records, and you admitted this earlier, that you are a treasurer po, no, for Formally Biological. I'm not sure if it's clear in your screen po, but if you would see in the sixth listed under the GIS, General Information Sheet for Formally Biological, meron pong nakasulat na Formally Philippine Holdings.
Mr. Chair, wala po talagang formally holdings.
But this is an official record that you've submitted before the SEC.
No, wala po.
How do we verify? Mr. Chair, I suppose may we perhaps invite a representative from the SEC so that we can confirm this finally, but just to share with the research person, nandito po siya. And actually, can we move to the next slide, please? As we mentioned earlier, based on the articles of incorporation, you were designated as treasurer po for Formally Biological.
That's true po,
And
Mr.
with that,
Chair.
you've executed this treasurer's affidavit.
That's true po.
And in the treasurer's affidavit, basically, this is proof that you have accounted for at least the old ruling that you need to have 25% of the stock to be subscribed to, and then 25% of that to be paid. That would necessarily mean po that you are aware of your stockholders.
I will check po sa records po namin, Mr. Chair.
Okay, but just to
Thank you.
clarify, this is an official record. And may we have the next slide, please? And yun po, lumalabas dun, based on Article 8, that there was in fact a Formally Philippine Holdings. In fact, it is your majority shareholder with 10.3 million amount subscribed. And if we look at the other shareholders, and this is the initial po sa Articles of Incorporation po natin, lahat po nominal shares lang po. Are you sure you don't recall this corporation? This was there from the very beginning.
No, Mr. Chair. I'll double check po sa company
Okay.
papers po namin.
So, Mr. Chair, if that's the case, in your recollection, and to note po, no, it's interesting because it's Formally Philippines Holdings, but it is a Singaporean corporation based on the records.
Mr. Chair, sa pagkaalala ko po, wala pong Philippine, formally Philippine po.
Opo. So maybe know from your recollection, how did you come into incorporating Family Biological
Ang
Corporation?
alam ko lang po sa Family Biological, lahat po ng incorporator po yan, walang company, lahat po tao.
Lahat po tao.
Yes po.
Okay. And the majority of the resources that was put up for the stock holdings would be from who was the largest
Individual po.
stockholder? Individual. I mean,
Yeah,
sino
yung
po?
Singaporean po, na si Mr. Wang.
So there was a Singaporean involved?
Yes po, yung Singaporean. Actually po, yan po ang naging lacking director po doon sa pharmaceutical.
So you have an interlocking director,
Yes po.
itong Singaporean national.
Yes
But as
po.
of the incorporation of Family Biological, siya rin po, he was already there.
Yes po.
Siguro po, Mr. Chair, we really will need the SEC to confirm this po based on the documents that were provided. But anyway, thank you for that clarification. We'll move on to the next. As mentioned and has been established, you seem to be a very prolific entrepreneur po, no? You have a series of corporations that you have incorporated, and you mentioned that not all of them were active. But
Yes.
I'm sure that you're well aware that quite a few of the corporations were mentioned in that matrix that was presented prior, and that's what actually sparked this. We just want to go through them po to have an understanding. I know some of them were mentioned earlier, but just to go through them one by one para we have a clarification. Yung sa XRL Holdings po, this you mentioned was a family corporation, tama po ba?
That's right po, Mr.
And
Chair.
its primary purpose is to hold holdings in what industry? Or is this supposed to hold all of your investments?
Yeah, that's true po.
Yung XRL po, this is 60% owned by you.
Yes.
And the 40% is owned by the husband.
Yes po.
And XRL has holdings in what subsidiaries po currently?
Sa ngayon po, wala pa. Kasi inaayos pa po namin yan.
So XRL came after the other corporations. So you're going to be retrofitting na lang
Yes
po yung
po,
others.
oo.
Okay, understood.
Aayusin na lang po para maayos yung setup.
We also mentioned that there was a Xiongwei Technologies. Ito po ba is in the field of Philippine offshore gaming? Is that
Yes
correct?
po, before.
Opo. Prior. It is not closed down. You have not liquidated yet, but you are no longer operating as there is no license. Is that correct?
No po, close na po siya since 2023 pa.
As in, wrapped up na rin po yung
Yes.
corporate papers and you've already
Ay, sa
liquidated.
corporate papers po, Mr. Chair, inaayos na po yun.
Okay,
Pero
so hindi pa.
pagkakalam ko, wala na siyang operations, wala na lahat.
Okay po. Just to clarify po, kasi there's a difference between operation ceasing and the ceasing of the corporate life po, no? So, tuloy pa rin po yung corporate life, wala lang operations.
Yes po,
Okay.
that's right po.
Thank you. And that correct po, 30% po kayo.
Yes po.
And you were in the back end.
Yes, until
And-
2021.
Sino po yung front end operator? Was it your husband?
Ang operator, yes po.
So husband niyo po is involved with Pogo?
Operations.
Opo. So he knows the ins and outs of Philippine offshore gaming operations?
Yes po.
Yes, he does. Do you know anything about the operations of Philippine offshore gaming operations? Or mostly doon ka lang po talaga sa permitting?
Doon lang po talaga ako sa mga documents and permits po.
Okay, sige. We'll go back to that later. Ms. Lynn, nabanggit rin po yung Paili Estate and Paili Holdings, and you've confirmed that you have a part in this po, no? In fact, for Paili Estate, you have 25% stake. May we know po what is the nature of the Paili Estate company?
Mr. Chair, yung Paili,
Paili.
ang Paili Holdings po, ito po ay holdings lamang.
Sorry, just to clarify po, Paili Estate.
Paili Estate,
Yes po.
sorry. Ang Paili Estate po, ito po yung may mga, formerly known po as, naka-on po. Sorry. Mr. Chair, yung Paili Estate po, formerly known po siya as Paili Holdings.
Oh, so they're one and the same?
No po.
they're-
Formerly known po siya as
Formerly known.
Paili Holdings. Yes po. Ito po ay holding companies po siya.
Sorry, can you clarify? You mentioned that they formerly known as Paili Holdings.
Yes po.
But when I said they're one and the same, you said they're not.
No po.
So,
Kasi mayroon po talaga siyang Paili Estate.
formerly known as... So that means may dalawa pa po or isa lang po?
Actually po, ang Paili Estate Group of Corporation, formerly known po siya as Paili Holdings.
Okay, and the second corporation would be?
Piley Holdings Corporation.
Okay, so the group of company would be known as holdings and the isa estate naman.
Yes po,
Okay.
yes
So
po.
in any which case, both are now holdings. Is that what
Both
you're saying?
are
now?
holding companies.
Both are holding companies. And
Yes.
ito po yung nabanggit earlier na mention sa Clark mega project
Yes
po
po.
ba? Okay. Thank you. And but you have a personal stake here po, no? 25%. Tama po ba? Okay. Thank you. Another corporation would like to go for yung Full Win Gaming Corporation. Is this familiar to you po, Ms. Lynn?
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Full Win.
Full Win.
Opo. And it's correct that you have 30% stake in this?
Let me check po, Mr. Chair, ha. Yes, Mr. Chair.
And may we know the nature of the Full Win Gaming Corporation?
Mr. Chair, itong Full Win is non-operating companies po to since 2021 pa.
And ano po yung operations niya prior to the season?
No, wala po siyang operation talaga.
No operation at
No-
all?
no
What
operation at all.
What was the intended industry po na papasukan po nila?
Dapat po ito yung Full Win, gagawin po ito dapat na holdings din po, holdings company. Ito dapat yung una.
Okay, the first holdings company.
Yes po.
Understood. Okay. And of course, we have pharmaceutical, biological, which you've already explained. As treasurer, gagawa po sana ng factory for
Yes
medical
po.
supplies. And then, of course, we have yung Golden 999. This is a real estate company, tama po ba?
Golden Sun 99
Sun.
po, it's warehouse.
Warehousing.
Na.
Okay po. And you have a personal stake of 15%.
Yes po.
Apo. So amongst these corporations, would you say the bulk of your income comes from the mentioned corporations, or kasi you and your husband seem to be very fond of holding corporations po, no? So usually that means korporasyon po ito na may pagmamay-ari ng iba't iba pang mga korporasyon. Pero at the end of the day, all of the financials would stem going upwards po, no? They funnel into these holdings corporations. Tama po ba?
We fund, sorry,
No,
Mr. Chair.
yung any profit, any revenue that the subsidiaries make, in order for it to reach the intended or the end user, yung stockholder, dumadaan po ito sa holdings corporation. Yun yung
Supposed to be.
purpose.
Yes,
Supposed to be.
yun po yung plano.
That's
Na
the
dapat
plan.
sa holdings po
Yes.
dadaan. Kaya may holdings company.
So from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mentioned corporations, would you say the bulk of your net worth, the bulk of your income comes from this? Or may corporations pa not mentioned in which you would credit most of your net worth po?
Actually, Mr. Chair, may mga corporations pa po kami.
And given these corporations, how much percent would you say from your net worth itong anim? Ballpark figure lang po siguro.
Hindi ko masasabi, more or less, Mr. Chair, eh.
You won't be able to tell if it's at least half of your net worth, 3/4.
Hindi ko masasabi, Mr. Chair.
And how many more corporations outside of these holdings companies would you say that you still have? Yung operating na lang po, para we have an idea of the revenue structure that you have.
Siguro may dalawa o tatlo pa, Mr. Chair.
2 or 3 specific corporations or holdings rin po sila?
Hindi po.
Specific naman?
Yes po.
And we don't have to clarify po, no, but just for an idea, ano po yung industry nitong 2 or 3?
Yung tatlo?
Yes, the
Real
industry.
estate po.
So mostly real estate rin
Yes
po talaga? Okay. But you have an idea out of the 2 or 3 versus the 6 that were mentioned, wala po tayong idea, although you mentioned you're on more on the back end, who does your finances then po, ma'am?
Mayroon po kaming tax lawyer.
The tax lawyer. So
Yes
as long
po.
as your only concern is pumapasok lang naman yung pera, you don't
Yes
really
po.
need to know which side
Yes
it's from.
po.
Which is understandable po, no? Kasi as a businesswoman, sa rami-daming korporasyon, it's understandable there are multiple streams of income. You might not necessarily be involved po with the specific. So that's perfectly understandable. But I ask this, Mr. Chair, because out of those mentioned, and I think this is just a repetition of what was mentioned earlier, yung Sean Way, it was a POGO operator. You also have the Paile Estate, which was linked to DCLA, Yangtze, and yung sa Cagayan de Oro, which was mentioned by Colonel Asierto. And of course, yung Golden Sun, which has been linked allegedly to the Shabu raid in Mexico, Pampanga. These are just some of the red flags that actually caused their inclusion in the matrix. So you just wanted to know, but our research person has repeatedly posited that she's only in the back end, and therefore she would not know the front, which is perfectly understandable. We just want to get that out in the open. No, no. So with that, Mr. Chair, I think although we don't have the names specifically yet, we might have to ask for the actual members who are familiar with the operations. Perhaps we would like to invite them po, no, in our next hearing so that we can really clarify their links to the matrix. Moving forward, Mr. Chair. Moving forward po, no, siguro. One interesting that was mentioned in the matrix po is yung Seanway Technologies. And you mentioned po earlier that you were involved with the back end in the permitting. And this would involve permitting po sa PAGCOR. Would that be correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, that's right
And
po.
please correct me if I'm wrong, we might be mistaken, but our understanding is when you have a parang master permit, master license for POGO operations, if there are service providers, they piggyback on your license. Is that correct?
Yes po, at mayroon rin po silang sariling license na ini-issue
Yes.
po ng PAGCOR. Like for example po, I have this copy na para po ang license na ito ay sa master license po namin, which is Seanway. And mayroon rin pong license dahil mag-a-apply rin po ang mga service provider po namin sa PAGCOR. So
Absolutely.
they have their own license din po.
Yes. They have their own license, but of course, they have to be attached to a POGO
Yes
operator.
po.
So in which case, the master license would be Seanway Technologies. And there were some that, I'm sure you're aware of them, they were mentioned in particular. Do you have any relation to Turquoise Diamond Technology?
Ano po siya? Service provider po siya ng master license po namin.
But I mean, do you have any personal relation? Do you have a
No po.
stockholding? Or do you have interlocking directors in some of your corporations?
I'm not sure, but I'll check po para hindi
Sige
po
po.
ako magkamali, Mr. Chair, kung okay
Apo.
lang.
Si Miss Amy Nono Cloquigan is a relative of yours.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And are you aware that she is a stockholder of Turquoise Diamond Technology?
I'll check po, Mr.
Sige
Chair, sa documents.
Okay, we'll probably request po siguro from the SEC some of these documents just to show po na that there is a relation with Turquoise Diamond Technology. Yung Oro 1 po that was mentioned earlier, this was a service provider. Are you familiar with Oro 1 Inc.?
I'm not familiar po kasi service provider lang po sila namin.
Okay po. And Shidai Keji, are you familiar with this service provider?
Shidai Kiji is one of our service provider.
Apa. Ms. Lynn, to the Honorable Chairman, of course, are you familiar with a John Stephen Locara?
I'm sorry po.
Are you familiar with a John Stephen Locara?
Alam ko po, isa siya sa incorporators.
Do you have a personal relationship with Mr. John Stephen Locara?
No, Mr. Chair.
None. Although this is a fellow incorporator in Turquoise and Brickheart. Speaking of, lapses, are you aware with Brickheart's technologies po ba?
I'm sorry?
Brickheart Technologies?
Isa po sa service provider
On the
po.
service providers.
Yes
And
po.
do you have any relation with any of the incorporators?
I think Robic, I'm not sure po kung sino sa mga pamangkin ko ang nandyan.
So
If
you
I'm
have a
not
relative,
mistaken.
perhaps.
If I'm not mistaken po.
Okay, thank you. This bears noting lang po, no, because amongst those mentioned, yung Turquoise Diamond Technology, Oro 1, and Shitai Keji, were service providers that were located in the Baofu compound, which is more notoriously known to be linked to Mayor Alice Guo. So this is one more thing, right, it was mentioned in the matrix, so we wanted to clarify po any relationship that you might have. Lastly, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask if you know a certain Jason Uson.
Jason Uson is one of the incorporators sa mga companies po.
In which companies po ba?
Nandun po siya sa Pile, nandun po siya sa Full Win, and nandun rin po siya sa holdings po.
Yung XLR?
Hindi po.
Which holdings po?
Pile
Pile
Holdings
Holdings.
at saka Pile Estate.
And estate.
Yes po.
In fact, he is the president of Piley Holdings or estate po ba?
I'm not sorry po, hindi ko lang matandaan kung siya po ba sa Pile Estate or sa Pile Holdings.
But we confirm that he is a president.
I'm not sure po. I'll check po.
Okay,
Para hindi
sige.
ako magkamali, Mr. Chair. Pasensya po.
Do you have a personal relationship? As mentioned earlier, as a businesswoman, usually you would try to get to know the people that you will be getting in business with. And it seems to be si Mr. Jason Uson is one such person that you have business on a regular basis. So would you say, how long have you known Mr. Jason Uson?
I know him around 20 if I'm not mistaken, 2016.
2016. And since then, you've been business partners?
Yes po.
Is he someone knowledgeable in the operations in these
The same lang po
corporations?
siya sa akin. Nasa back office po
Ah,
kami.
back office po.
Yes po.
Because I'm sure you've seen the matrix, and there seems to be a comparison that Mr. Jason Uson allegedly would be your counterpart. If there is Ms. Rose Nonolin for the 60%, understandably, of your husband, we have Mr. Jason Uson who holds 60% on behalf of the Michael Yang companies. Would you know anything to that extent?
I'm not sure po, Mr. Chair.
But you mentioned that you've met Michael Yang previously and you're aware of who he is.
I met Michael Yang year 2013.
2013 po.
Yes po.
And just for the record po, Mr. Chair, si Mr. Jason Uson is also a incorporator for Yangtze and DCLA, which was a company that was mentioned to have problems related to the drug trade. Thank you very much, Ms. Lin. Just to
Thank you
clarify
po.
lang
Thank you,
po
Mr.
yung mga
Chair.
corporation na that. Mr. Chair, I hope that we will be able to invite Mr. Jason Uson, perhaps also Ms. Amy Nono Cloquigan, Mr. Jan Stephen Locara. And I think we would also like to ask siguro si Ms. Lin to provide us a list of yung, because you mentioned ang alam niya lang po is the back end of these operations. But at least for XRL, Shongwei, Paili, Fullwin, Farmally Biological, and Golden Sun, perhaps we can ask po si Ms. Lin to provide us a list kung sino yung supposedly executive officer or yung may alam po sa operation, and then perhaps we could invite them should the committee decide. Yun na po. And Mr. Chair, with that, I will be concluding my questioning and be yielding to other interpellators. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Gutierrez. Comsec, please take note of the request of Congressman Gutierrez. So, the next to interpellate is Congressman Paduano. And last is Congressman Acop. So, Congressman Paduano. Yeah, Congressman Paduano. Congressman Paduano, you're recognized. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyway, just a short rejoinder with regards to the statement made by the former DG Wilkins. DG Wilkins, you mentioned that certain Alan Lin and Lee Wen Chong is not one and the same.
Mr. Chair, kasi nakakuha ako ng...
Hindi, ano lang po, yes or no lang po muna. Before you explain.
Sa image
Do you
identification...
confirm? Sandali po, ang question ko kasi, do you confirm that you have a conclusion that Lee Wen Chong and Alan Lin is not one and the same? Yes or no lang po?
Sa image identification, Mr. Chair, I confirm na hindi sila pareho.
Now, ang tanong, dito, saan na pa nakita mo?
Yes, Mr. I have that... Actually, Mr. Chair, ako yung gumawa ng image na yan eh. Yung nasa inyo ngayon, yan yung ipinresent ko, Mr. Chair, sa Malacanang. So, pinagkumpara ko lang naman yung dalawa, Mr. Chair. Napakalaki ng diferensya.
Hindi, ganito po. Do you have an holdings during your time with Alan Lin?
Come again, Mr. Chair.
Do you have holdings with Alan Lin and Lee Wen Chong?
Yung kay Alan Lim, Mr. Chair, yun yung involved siya dun sa clandestine laboratory ng Cavite. Kay Lee Wei Chong, Mr. Chair, wala akong idea.
Hindi, kaya nga eh. Kaya nga, just like kay Michael Yang, wag muna mag-conclude. Diba? That is not conclusive kasi ang katulad kay Michael Yang now, there are proof, no? When we started investigation in my committee, doon sa Mexico, Pampanga, and then consequently, may investigation din doon sa dangerous drugs, lumabas na yung mga pangalan nila, pati yung initial na matrix, no? Kaya pumunta sa dulo doon yung Michael Yang, which says connected with Edita Yang and Willie Ong. Doon po sa warehouse na ka-recover.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kaya I suggest the DG Wilkins, kindly please be diligent enough, no? Ingat lang po sa mga statements natin.
Yes. Mr. Chair, sa ngayon, with what happened sa Congress, I believe Michael Yang is in
No, I'm talking about Michael Yang, tapos na po yun. You have already admitted kanina na during your time, wala kang holdings, but this time, medyo mayroon na.
Yes,
Tama?
Mr.
Kaya,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
the same is true with Alan Lim, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Para at least malinaw lang kasi yung mga statements mo mukhang conclusive.
Yes,
Doon sa
Mr.
nakita mo.
Yes, Mr.
Diba?
Chair. Yes.
Now, DG Lasso, with regards to Alan Lin and Lee Winching, may ano ba kayong holdings?
Your Honor, we were able to talk to a confidential informant. He's a reliable informant. When he talked to us, he hasn't even seen the presentation of Colonel Asierto before the Committee on Dangerous Drugs. When we took down what he was telling us, it confirms to some of the statements of Congressman Asierto. So,
Colonel Asierto.
sorry, Colonel Asierto, Your Honor. Like, for example, Your Honor, according to our informant, Alan Lin, whose picture was identified by Ms. Rose Lin as his husband, her husband rather, uses the names of Alan Lin, Alan Lim, Jeffrey Lin, Jeff Lin, Ayong, Wei Xiong Lin, Lin Wei Xiong, Lin Wei Xion, Wen Li Chen.
Mr. Chair, is Rose Nono Lim Lin listening to what General Lasso is saying? Are you listening to what General Lasso is saying?
Sorry po.
DG Lasso, kindly repeat the holdings that you have with regards to Alan Lin and Lee Winching.
Yes, Your Honor. According to our informant, who is a very reliable informant, Alan Lim uses several names. Alan Lin, Alan Lim, Jeffrey Lin, Jeff Lin, Ayong, Wei Xiong Lin, Lin Wei Xion, Wen Li Chen. These names all are confirmed by the different statements being heard over before the Quadcom now, Your Honor.
Have you coordinated with other intelligence agencies, especially the ISAP and NICA, with regards to the identity of the mentioned names?
No, Your Honor, because they have no holdings. We don't have holdings. PNP also doesn't have holdings on these names. So we just relied on this informant that we had. And later on, when Colonel Asierto came out before the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, nagtugma po. So naku-confuse po talaga tayo. But we are only talking of one and the same person. Alan Lin na kinonfirm ni Mrs. Rose Nono Lin na husband niya.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, at least may initial na information na tayong hawak. Now, Ms. Rose Nonolin,
Yes,
you
Mr.
mentioned
Chair.
that your husband is a Chinese national, di ba?
Yes po.
Okay. So, he is based in Hong Kong.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
When was the last time that he traveled from the Philippines going to Hong Kong?
May 2024 po, Mr.
May
Chair.
2024 and until now, hindi na siya bumalik.
Hindi pa siya nakabalik. Yes po.
In your information, based on your discussion, is she familiar with the investigation going now with the Quadcom?
Alam niya po.
Alam niya. So, most probably, if we issue a show cause order for him today, he might be present in the next hearing.
I don't know po, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko po masasagot.
Husband mo yun.
Mr. Chair, hindi ko naman po hawak yung isip ng husband ko. Hindi ko po alam kung ano yung isasagot po niya.
So anyway, so you confirm that Hong Kong based siya.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Siguro naman kung Hong Kong based siya, he has some, except for the passport, he has some government ID in Hong Kong.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ano yung mga IDs niya?
May driver's license po siya.
Hong Kong issued.
Yes. Yes po.
Ano pa po?
May Hong Kong ID po siya.
Hong Kong ID din.
Yes po. Yan
Ano lang,
po
Mr.
ang
Chairman,
alam ko.
kindly submit na lang po all the identification cards, government IDs of your husband in Hong Kong. Kindly submit po sa committee secretary. Just to confirm po.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Lin has committed that she will submit the documents requested by Congresswoman Jinky with respect to the identity of Mr. Lin Weishong.
Yeah, but I have heard also that the Honorable LUISTRO asked for the birth certificate. But what I am asking now is the government ID issued to the husband of Rose Nonolin in Hong Kong. And he mentioned about the driver's license. Ano pa po?
Driver's license po and then Hong Kong ID po.
Please, submit na lang po sa committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Paduano. And last, to interpolate,
Mr. Chair, very quick. Just to complete the documents which are being requested.
just make it quick, Congresswoman.
Yes, Mr. Chair. May I move that we request also with the Bureau of Immigration for travel records for the past 10 years of one Alan Lim, one Wen Li Shen, and one Wei Shon Lin. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Jinky. Comsec, please take note and coordinate with the agencies concerned. Now, the last to recap,
Your Honor,
Yes.
according to our informant, we don't have information that he uses a Chinese passport. But he is Chinese, obviously. But to our informant, he holds a Vietnamese, Burmese, and Cambodian passports.
he holds 3 passports.
According to our informant, Your Honor,
This Alan Lim.
the same, Alan Lin.
Okay.
He was never mentioned to be holding a Chinese passport.
So are you saying, DG, that pagka pumapasok siya rito, ang gamit niya any of these three passports?
Possible, Your
But using the same name?
It doesn't, the informant did not mention the names that he is using in the 3 passports that he named, Your Honor.
We will probably coordinate with the Bureau of Immigration. Thank you for that information. Now, si Congressman ako, to recap the deliberations on the topic of the dangerous drugs, the chair would like to recognize Congressman Akop. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I proceed, may I ask Madam Lin?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Is your husband charged with any criminal offense?
No, Mr. Chair.
No. Then, therefore, there's no reason for him not to be able to attend the hearings of this committee. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Tama?
Yes,
Kung wala
Mr.
siyang
Chair.
kinakatakutan, dapat umapir siya rito, as you are claiming.
Tama po.
Thank you. And therefore, if we issue an invitation, we can course it through you.
Pwede po.
Pwede. Ang hindi mo lang sinisiguro kung tatanggapin niya at dadalo siya rito.
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Ay di, sabi mo sa kanya na, Juan, huwag ka nang umuwi rito sa akin. Hindi mo ba pwedeng sabihin yun?
Mr. Chair, baka totohanin nun at wag na uuwi dito.
So
sa-
takot ka, naiwalayan ka.
Mr. Chair, kawawa naman po yung mga anak ko.
Thank you. Biro lang yun, Iha. Is Colonel Asierto still with us? Ed, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
when
Yes,
did
sir.
you
Present,
when
sir.
did you make that controversial report?
I think, sir, is September 2017.
2017. Okay, thank you. I'll get back to you. Now,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Paul Gutierrez, still around?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Doon sa interchange ninyo, either you or Mr. Guban would be lying. Tama po? Kasi wala naman kayong
Tama po.
witness na magsasabi o ipapakita na ikaw ang nagsasabi ng totoo, di ba?
Tama po, Mr.
So
Chairman.
kami na nandito ngayon sa committee na to, we rely on the, shall we say, reasonableness of your answers. Tama?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Tinanong ka kanina, in your more than 10 years of covering the Senate, ang sagot po ninyo minsan nyo lang nabisita yung isang witness na contempt at na-detain. Tama po?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
So, there must be something special para bisitahin mo si Mr. Guban sa kanyang detention center. Tama po?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Yes. So, para sa akin, I would go with the conclusion of the Honorable Pimentel na I see no reason why you should go there just to get a scoop as you have reasoned a while ago.
Yes.
Have you worked under Mr. Benny Antiporda?
No, Mr. Chairman.
No. Pero parehas kayo nag-practice sa media.
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Antiporda, kayo po bang may-ari ng kwan? Ng remate ngayon?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you acquired it from former Councilor Pichay. Tama? Ay, Congressman Pichay.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Pero kayo po, bilang media practitioner, just like maybe Mr. Paul Gutierrez, nagpapatrolya rin po kayo, bumibisita sa customs. Would that be correct?
Nung nasa bit pa po ako.
Hindi, sakutin nyo lang po ng yes or no dahil... tama po?
Mr. Chair, pwede ho mag-explain ng konti. Dati po kasi nasa anti-smuggling po ako nung napunta ho ako sa gobyerno, kaya nakikita rin po ako sa customs dati. But nung wala na po ako ron, hindi na po ako pumupunta ng customs.
So, after leaving the media, hindi na po kayo naging player sa customs?
I'm not in any way a player of customs. I'm an operative year 2007 po.
Operative ng?
Presidential Anti-Smuggling Group po. Director po ako noon ng SOG.
Oh, kasi may nag-text sa akin na aking bubuwit eh. Yun po ang sinabi. Now, Gerald Wilkins, may I know how long or what was the first time that you were assigned to PDEA?
Since 2022, Mr. Chair. At 2002, Mr. Chair.
2002. And when did you become the head of PDEA?
2020, Mr. Chair.
2020. Okay. Thank you. Kasi, itong istoryang ito ay isang istorya ng 5 magkakaibigan na parehas ang trabaho. They were working for government. Si Colonel Asierto, si Captain Pirote, si Colonel Fajardo, Mr. Guban of Customs, at isang PNCO named Jerry. They knew each other because of their work. But because of a life-changing report made by Colonel Asierto, where he made some allegations insofar as the former mayor and former president is concerned. Would that be correct, Colonel Asierto?
Yes, sir.
Yes. May I know why you made that report?
Because that is my duty, Your Honor, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. As a police officer, I received an information, raw information. I validated the information, then after validation, I made the proper report.
And in that report, you alleged that former President Digong was connected with individuals connected or involved in illegal drug activities. The persons you were referring to were a certain Mr. Michael Yang and Mr. Alan Lin. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor, but on my first report, there is no mention of the name of President Duterte. The name of President Duterte was included on my second report that I submitted to then Chief PNP Oscar Albayalde.
Thank you. And these reports were, the first one was submitted to then General De La Rosa, the Chief of the PNP. And the second report was submitted to General Albayalde, also a former Chief PNP. Tama po.
Yes, sir. Tama po, sir.
And would it be correct na because of that report, former President Digong's reaction was to publicly condemn you, even calling for your death, and for associating him with illegal activities, including the alleged sale of 1,000 plus AK-47s to the New People's Army. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir, including the 10 million bounty on my head.
Yes. And therefore, would you agree with me that that statement implies a personal vendetta against you for your allegations?
Yes, sir.
And because of that also, na-filean ka ng kaso for the sale of the AK-47s and for illegal drugs?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, we go to the role of Jimmy Guban. Jimmy Guban, you're the Customs Intelligence Officer working with Colonel Asierto, Captain Perote, Colonel Fardo. Tama po?
We are working together, Your Honor.
I beg your pardon?
We are working together, Your Honor.
Yes, kasi isa yung linya ng trabaho nyo.
Opo, Your Honor.
But because, according to your statements dun sa unang hearing na napunta ka sa dito, sinabi mo na because of fear, inamin mo dun sa hearing, dun sa Senate, na you accused Colonel Asierto of masterminding a 13 billion shabu shipment in magnetic lifters. And you testified that Asierto facilitated the shipment, but later tipped of authorities to intercept a part of it. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And because of this, that controversial report of Colonel Asierto, your colleague, si Captain Perote, a retired investigator, was allegedly killed due to similar reports he filed implicating Mr. Yang and Mr. Lim. Colonel Asierto, would that be correct? Ed?
Sir, nawala po. Tama po yun, sir.
Yeah. Pinatay si Lito Perote, yung kasamahan ninyo, because of alleged similar reports he filed implicating Mr. Yang and Mr. Lim? Would that be correct?
Yes, sir. Siya po yung...
Now, I do not know if this is violated. There were reports that the skeletal remains of Perote were discovered inside a drum in 2019. Allegedly, a DNA was conducted but the results were never released. Were you knowledgeable about this?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir. Hindi ko po alam, sir.
Okay. Pero may report na ganon. Now, Colonel Asierto, you joined the anti-illegal drug task force of the PNP in 2003. Tama po?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And this task force was made because wala na yung NARCOM. Because of the
Yes,
PNP
sir.
law passed in 1990. Tama?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tama po, sir.
Yes. And you stayed with this task force up to 2017.
Actually, sir, I was relieved 2012. Then I returned on sa 2017, sir.
Yes. As the Deputy for Administration.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Unfortunately, in 2016, the former mayor of Davao became the president.
Yes, sir.
And in 2018, because galit na galit siya sa iyo at nagkaroon ng allegations na involved ka sa drugs, nagkaroon ng Senate hearing in 2018.
Yes, sir.
Tama? And the accusations...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the accusations against you were the mastermind of the 13 billion Shabu shipment in July, 2.4 billion shipment at the MICP or Manila International Container Port, stuff inside abandoned magnetic lifters, and 11 billion of missing Shabu suspected to be packed in similar magnetic lifters found in Cavite. Ito po yung charges sa iyo, di ba?
Opo, sir. Yes, sir.
And this was testified to also by your friend, Mr. Guban.
Yes, sir. And I think he recanted, sir.
Yeah, I know. In a court hearing, I was informed that Mr. Jimmy Guban recanted all his statements implicating you during that Senate hearing in 2018. Tama?
Yes, sir.
Now, may I know the reason why in one of your statements, sinabi mo na ang real drug lords are Mr. Alan Lim and Mr. Michael Yang? May I know the basis of your statement? Or how did you come to know about this?
It was relayed to me by my reliable informant, sir, na they are involved in the shipment of the illegal drugs, especially during the time of President Duterte. And all the drugs are coming through the Bureau of Customs.
Thank you. And General Wilkins Villanueva, you were with PIDEA in 2002 and you became the head in 2020. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And during that stint of yours, have you ever heard of the involvement of Mr. Michael Yang and Mr. Alan Lim sa illegal drugs?
Only Alan Lim, Mr. Chair, and not no Michael Yang, Mr. Chair.
Up to 2022, when you became the PIDEA head?
Yes, Mr. Chair, kasi wala,
Kasi,
hindi
siguro,
ko,
sige,
kasi sir, wala ako natanggap na information, Mr. Chair eh.
ay napakahina ng information nyo ng kwan, ng PIDEA. Because in 2010, I became a congressman, and 2016, nandito ako, alam ko na na-involved si Michael Yang.
2016, Mr. Chair, is nasa Region 10 ako, Mr. Chair.
Kaya nga, sinasabi ko nga, from 2002 up to 2022, nasa PIDEA ka.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And yet, you tell me na hindi ka man lang nakareceive ng information ng involvement ni Mr. Yang, specifically from 2016 to 2022, dahil takot kayo na maglagay ng report na si Mr. Michael Yang ay involved sa illegal drugs. Why? Kasi alam ninyo na malapit siya kay former President Digong. Lahat naman kayo nun, takot yun. Takot kayo eh. And do not tell me na hindi totoo yun. Kaya ngayon nga lumalabas ito eh. Dahil ngayon, ang mga tao hindi takot. And now, hanggang ngayon, takot ka pa rin. Tapos pinagyayabang mo, you have a name to protect for your children. I do not believe that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Congressman Akop. Are you? So, Congressman Abante, you're recognized.
Yes, our next topic actually now is EJK, no? And to start the ball rolling, we would allow former Senator Lael de Lima for her short presentation. But while she is preparing, I just would like to ask, finally, I just would like to ask certain questions to Ms. Rose Nonolin, no? While our good Senator de Lima is preparing. Kailan kayo huling nagkita ni Lee Wenxiong?
November 1 po,
November 1.
this holiday.
So hanggang ngayon di pa kayo nakikita, no? From November 1.
Yes po, ilang araw pa lang naman po
Okay,
nakalipas.
hindi mo rin alam kung kailan siya uuwi.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Therefore, maaaring tumagal pa bago siya umuwi, correct?
Hindi ko po masasagot kung maaring tumagal pa
Oo,
o...
maaaring tumagal o hindi.
Yes
Di ba?
po.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin, sa hindi niyong pagkikita ng mga ilang linggo, maaari mo ring sabihin na hindi mo masyadong kilala ang asawa mo.
Mr. Chair, hindi naman
Kilala
po...
mo ba siya?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kilala mo ang lahat ng kanyang business transactions?
Hindi po.
Wala siyang tinatago sa'yo? Sinasabi ba siya sa'yo lahat? Hindi.
Mr. Chair, kung ano po yung gusto niya
Kaya
sabihin.
nga, yes or no lang. Kilala mo ba siya talaga? Sapagkat hindi naman kayo nakikita palagi. Oo. Alam mo ba lahat ng kanyang business transaction? Oo.
Hindi
Alam mo
po,
ba
Mr.
kung
Chair.
meron siyang girlfriend sa abroad?
Hindi po, Mr. Chair.
Oo. Chinese siya eh.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kilala ko po ang Chinese eh. Oo. Ang Pilipino nga, hindi nakakapagtago. Chinese pa kaya? Di ba? Oo. Okay. Governor. Oh, hindi ko ibig sabihin, meron kang mga ilang bagay na hindi mo alam sa iyong asawa. Correct? Tama ba ako?
Tama, Mr. Chair.
Ayun, okay. So, ibig sabihin, pinapatunayan lamang dito na hindi mo siya kilala 100%, hindi mo alam lahat ang kanyang business transaction. Correct?
Yes,
Tama.
Mr. Chair. Hindi ko alam
okay.
lahat ng business
Ang
transaction.
pangalawang tanong,
Yan.
ito Okay. Sabi mo kanina, kilala mo si Michael Yang.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kasama siya sa korporasyon ninyo.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ano ang palagay mo sa testimony ni Jimmy Guban at ni Asherto tungkol sa involvement ni Michael Yang sa drugs?
Mr. Chair, hindi po ako pwede magbigay ng comment about Michael Yang kasi hindi ko naman siya personally kilala.
So,
Kung ano
hindi
yung mga
mo rin
ginagawa
alam.
niya.
Katulad ng hindi mo alam lahat ng business transaction ng iyong asawa, hindi mo rin alam ang business transaction ni Michael Yang. Tama, mali?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Hindi ko po
Okay,
alam ang business
Mr.
transaction
Chair,
ni
yun lang po ang
Michael
aking
Yang.
tanong. Yes, bago po kay Senator Lael de Lima, meron pa po yatang tanong si SDS. Go ahead, SDS. You're recognized.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman. Kasi narinig ko si DG Lasso, Alan Lim, also known as Jeffrey Lin and Jeff Lin, Ayong, Wenxiong Lin Wenxiong, Wen Li Chen. Isang tao lang po to, Ma'am Rose Nonolim.
Mr. Chair, hindi po.
Well, anyway, si DG Lasso na ang sasagot niyan. My number 2 question. Sagutin mo lang ako kung tama o hindi. Si Alan Lim, nandito, at saka si Michael Yang, magpinsan.
Hindi, Mr. Chair.
Sigurado ka?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Pag napatunayan ko, anong gagawin ko sa'yo?
Mr. Chair, ang asawa ko is Lin Wishong, not Alan
Kaya
Lim.
nga, pag napatunayan ko, yung isang tao, ang daming pangalan, yun si Alan Lim at yung sinasabi mong asawa, pag napatunayan natin isa lang yun, at napatunayan ko magpinsan si Michael Yang at saka si Alan Lim, ano ang gusto mong gawin ko sa'yo? Sige nga. Nandito si... Salita ka na.
Hindi ko alam, Mr. Chair, kung ano yung gusto niyo pong gawin.
Pero hindi mo ina-admit na magpinsan si Alan Lim at saka si Michael Yang.
Magpinsan po in what degree, Mr. Chair?
Basta magpinsan. Alam mo naman yung magpinsan. Pilipina ka naman, di ba?
Iko-confirm ko po kung magpinsan po sila.
Ilang years na kayo magkasama ni Mr. mo? Hindi ko natatawagang Alan Lim.
15
Kasi ayaw mo-
years po.
15 years. Hindi mo alam kung anong relasyon ni Michael Yang at saka ni Alan Lim.
Alam ko lang po, business partner po sila.
Marunong bang mag-English si Michael Yang?
Hindi ko po siya narinig na nag-i-English dahil hindi po naman po kami nagkakausap ng matagal.
Ang asawa mo, marunong mag-English.
Hindi po siya marunong mag-English, Mr. Chair.
Di ba nakita mo yung picture? Nasa gitna si dating Pangulo. Tapos nasa isang side si Michael Yang. Nasa right side si Michael Yang. At saka si Alan Lim. Hindi marunong mag-Chinese si Presidente, si former President. Hindi marunong mag-English si Michael Yang. Sinong interpreter nila?
Hindi ko po alam that time kung sino ang interpreter po nila nung pumunta po
Yung
sila
asawa
doon.
mo magaling mag-English.
Hindi po.
Marunong mag-Chinese.
Chinese po talaga siya.
Kaya nga, marunong mag-Chinese, hindi marunong mag-English.
Opo, tama po, Mr.
Dalawa
Chair.
yan. Tandaan mo yung tinanong ko sa'yo, ha? Magpinsan ba si Michael Yang at saka si Alan Lim? That's number 1 question. Number 2, hindi ba talagang marunong mag-English ang asawa mo, puro Chinese? Yun ang tandaan mong dalawang tanong ko sa'yo. Magkikita pa tayo sa susunod na hearing, mag-research ka. Otherwise, nandito si Congressman Paduano.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Mr. Chair.
Very, very short, Mr. Chair. Connected, Mr. Chair. Connected po sa sinabi ni SDS, tinanong. Very, very short. Very, very short.
Make it short, please.
Yeah, very, very short. Natatandaan ko po, Mr. Chair, when, I don't know kung sino po sa mga chairman, they ask Miss Lynn kung ano yung ibang palayaw ng mga kay husband mo. You mentioned about Jeffrey.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I ask SDS, di ba may na-mention po kayong Jeffrey? Ano po yung mga palayaw na iba?
Ang pangalan na Mr. Chairman, Alan Lim, also known as Jeffrey Lim, Jeff Lim, Ayong, Wishyong Lim, at Lin Wishyong.
Yeah,
At yung
Mr.
isa, Wen Li Chen.
Thank you, Mr. Yung, kanina po, na-mention din niya yung ayong eh, Mr. Chair.
May Ayong.
Na-mention niyo po, Miss Lynn, yung ayong, di ba? Jeffrey and ayong, yung tawag sa husband niyo. Totoo ba yun? Kaya kasi pwede natin balikan yung records.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I cannot recall kung nagsabi po akong ayong.
But I can...
Jeffrey.
Was it you, Congresswoman Jinky, when you asked? Yeah. But ayong, yeah. She mentioned something about ayong, and when she was asked about what else does your husband be, I don't know, referred to by, I don't know, sabi niya yung mga friends niya is sometimes they call him Jeffrey. So it's just, nung na-mention niyo po, parang, but anyway, Mr. Chair, just to leave, I leave it at that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Mr.
you, Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Adjong. Congressman Abante.
Before Senator De Lima, I think is now quite prepared, no? But I heard, sabi ni Rose Nonolim na tatakbo kayong congressman uli.
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Kanina, sabi ninyo hindi niyo magagawang iwanan kayo nung asawa mo dahil kawawa naman yung mga bata. Saan niyo kukunin yung inyong pang-campaign?
Mayroon naman po kaming savings, Mr. Chair. Mayroon naman po kaming naka-allocate po na funds para po doon.
Kayo,
Yes po.
kasama yung asawa mo.
Opo.
Opo, bawal po sa foreigner ang mag-sponsor ng campaign ng Pilipino.
Mr. Chair, mag-asawa naman po kami.
Kahit po, nakalagay po sa batas na bawal ang isang foreigner na magbigay ng tulong sa mga tumatakbo. Pakitinan po ang inyong batas para makita nyo. Okay?
Salamat, Mr. Chair.
All right. So, Senator De Lima, will you please now have your own presentation? Thank
Madam
you.
Senator, if I may, Congressman Abante, with your indulgence, since the topic of the dangerous drugs for today's committee hearing is already finished, we will excuse those that were invited for the same topic. So lahat po kayo na ang reason why you were invited is to shed light on the dangerous drugs issue. You are exempted, you are excused, and hopefully you will again attend the next scheduled hearing on the same topic. So, former Senator De Lima, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and the honorable members of the committee, of the Quadcom, and also good afternoon to my fellow resource speakers. Actually, Your Honors, Mr. Chair, mahaba-haba po yung aking presentation. And I think you will understand as I go along bakit mahaba. But I'll try to speed it up. Best efforts ko po. So can we now have the first slide? So my presentation here is actually supplemental to my presentation during the last hearing, the 9th joint public hearing held last October 22. At natatandaan niyo po na nasabi ko nung hearing na yon na yung sinasabi ni Colonel Rowena Garma na Davao model, na yun daw ang gusto na ipasunod o i-adapt ng dating Pangulo nung naging Pangulo na siya dyan sa war on drugs, walang iba ang tinutukoy noon kundi yung DDS. So ang una kong tatalakayin, ano ho ba yung DDS? Lalo na may ilan-ilan hong mga resource persons na tila baga they're feigning ignorance about the existence of DDS. What is the DDS? Yung DDS ho kasi, Davao Death Squad, ay actually coined po yun ng Davao media. Kasi dun nga ho sa mga sunod-sunod at prevalent na mga street executions noon sa Davao City in the 1990s and 2000s. So yung media po ang nagbansag na DDS or Davao Death Squad. Ang nag-organize po ng DDS ay walang iba kundi si MRRD, then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte, Roa Duterte, and Major Ernesto Macasaet in 1988. Its PNP component ay ang tawag naman Anti-Crime Task Force, and yung meron din siyang civilian component ang tawag Lambada Boys. Ang pinaka-mission po ng DDS was to eliminate mostly small-time criminals such as drug pushers, drug addicts, pickpockets, and neighborhood toughs. Yun po ang madalas nilang biktima. Pero makikita nyo po mamaya, sa ipapakita ko yung mga iba-ibang insidente nung mga operations ng DDS. Meron din ho silang mga pinapatay na kahit hindi naman mga drug personalities. Pero pwede natin masabi na karamihan ng mga tinatarget nila ay yung mga street pushers and mga petty criminals. The list of suspects was drawn up by barangay-level civilian volunteer organizations, and barangay officials, and targets for elimination were solely approved by MRRD. Noong 2001 po, naging Anti-Crime Task Force siya, yung na-reorganize yung Anti-Crime Task Force, kasi po yan ang unang pangalan, into the Heinous Crime Investigation Section or Task Force. HCIS ng Davao City Police Office. The DDS was organized into several assassination units consisting of 1 policeman handler and 3 civilian assassins responsible for eliminating suspected criminals and targeted individuals as approved by MRRD. Nasabi ko rin po last time na in exchange, those DDS members ay meron po silang rewards, bonuses, and perks galing mismo sa MRRD sa kanyang confidential funds sa Mayor's Office. Meron ho, yung HCIS as DDS, meron po siyang policeman complement of around 20 officials, led by Inspector Fulgencio Pavo, who was succeeded by Senior Inspector Junicio Abude. Karamihan po ng mga policemen na yan na supposedly members ng DDS ay in-identify po ni Edgar Matubato nung nag-appear siya sa Senado noon sa aming inquiry sa Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Doon po sa hearing na yon, they all denied na miyembro sila ng DDS. Eh maski si Las Cañas noon, si Arturo Las Cañas, nung unang pag-appear sa Senado, dinenay din niya na walang DDS. Pero later on, binawi po niya, rinikan po niya sometime in February 27 na totoo na merong DDS. Meron pong 4 na dumping grounds yung DDS. Yung pinakamalaki, yung Laud Gold Camp, Firing Range, Quarry in Barangay Maa, under SPO4 Bienvenido Laud. Another is yung known as the Gaisano property, guarded by June Casas alias Commander Toothpick, which contains around 200 bodies. The third is the Mandog Mass Grave under SPO3 Jimtan. The fourth are the waters around Samal Island. So maski doon. Si Matubato ang caretaker nung mayor of the Mayor Antalans Resort. Yung biktima ho ng DDS, according to data doon sa investigasyon namin at saka yung mga sinasabi nila Matubato and Las Cañas, numbered anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 from 1988 to 2008. Sino naman po si Edgar Matubato? Siyempre, kilalang-kilala na po yung pangalan, but exactly sino po siya? Siya po yung among the first members of the DDS. Ang tawag nila sa kanila, nung una, ay Lambada Boys. At 18 years old in 1977, miyembro po siya ng CHDF, yung Civilian Home Defense Force, up to the time when it became the CAFGO under the Cory administration. Noong 1988, recruit siya ni MRRD as his personal, recruit siya sa DDS nung personal bodyguard ni MRRD, named Dodong Pagidupon. He was officially employed by the Anti-Crime Task Force of Davao City in 1988, and then later, kasama na rin siya sa Heinous Crime Section of the Investigation and Detection Division of the DCPO in 2001. Pinangalanan din niyo po, makikita niyo sa screen kung sino pa yung mga ibang members ng Lambada Boys. Umalis po siya sa DDS noong September 2013 against the wishes of his colleagues kasi free-named up siya at tinorture siya ng mga kasamahan niya for the murder of Cebu businessman Richard King in June 2014. So umalis po siya sa Davao, lumapit siya sa CHR regional office in another region, not Davao region. Ayaw niyang pumunta doon. And eventually, napunta na rin po siya sa DOJ where he was placed under the Witness Protection Program. Pero nung nanalo na po si Mr. Duterte as president noong May 2016, umalis po si Matubato from the WPP of DOJ. Nag-testify po siya, kaya nung sinabi ko, in the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights Inquiry in September of 2016. And then eventually, he filed a criminal complaint against Duterte and the DDS members with the Office of the Ombudsman. Hindi ko na po alam exactly kung ano ang pinaka-status ng criminal complaint na yan ni Mr. Matubatong. Alam ko po, pending pa ho yun. Now, allow me, on the basis of the complaint affidavit of Edgar Matubato, na meron po akong kopya, Ito po yung sinubmit niya sa Office of the Ombudsman. Nandyan nga po. Next slide. So the first page and the last page are being shown. Ito pong susunod na mga slides, mabilisan lang po. Ito po yung mga specific incidents of killing occurring to Matabato upon orders of then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. Mabilisan lang. You can take a look at that. 1992, 1993, 2002, 2003. Yan po si June Porras pala. I think he's a media guy. 2007, 2010, 2013. Hindi ko na po mga babanggitin kasi medyo para ho mas mabilis. But those are shown in the slides. Merong 2013. Yan ang mga alam na mga incidents of killings ni Edgar Matabato. Meron siyang personal or first-hand knowledge about these killings at ang sabi niya, these are upon the orders of MRRD. Now, nung tinanong po siya under question number 23, nung kanyang complaint affidavit na sinubmit sa Ombudsman, what is the role of Mayor Rodrigo Duterte in all of this? Now, we quoted verbatim yung sagot niya under question 23. Makikita niyo po dyan. Siya ang nag-uutos sa pagpatay. Kapag kilala ang biktima o big time, pumupunta si Duterte sa Laod Quarry para siguraduhin na yung nga ang target at para manood sa pag-chop-chop ng bangkay. Minsan siya rin mismo, next please. This is the continuation of the answer of Mr. Matabato dun sa tanong, what is the role of Mayor Rodrigo Duterte? Minsan siya rin mismo ang pumapatay. Nag-cite siya ng one example that happened in 1993. Nainkwento daw nila yung isang NBI agent ng pangalan Hamisola na nakabalagbag yung kanyang pick-up sa daan, sinita siya ni Police Chief Inspector Pavo, sabay sigaw ng, sa'yo tong daan? May kausap daw na babae yung NBI, pero napansin ni Pavo na may baril, kaya bumunot siya. Mas mabilis bumunot yung NBI agent at binaril siya. Binaril niya si Pavo sa kamay at sa binti hanggang bumagsak. Pinagbabaril na rin namin pero magaling gumulong-gulong yung NBI sa ilalim ng sasakyan. Nahirapan kami, pero tinamaan rin namin. May tumawag sa grupo namin kay Mayor. Pagdating ni Mayor, inubos niya ang 2 magazine ng kanyang Uzi sa katawan ng NBI agent. Halos 200 bala ang binuhos sa NBI agent, M14, 45, tsaka Armalite. Overkill talaga. Walang kaso na nangyari kasi kinausap ni Mayor si Director Hernandez ng NBI Davao. That is from this complaint affidavit as filed with the Office of the Ombudsman. Sino naman po si Arturo Las Cañas? Kilalang-kilala na rin po natin ang kanyang pangalan. But who exactly is he? Isa po siyang pulis ng DCPO from 1982 to 2016 and naging operations team leader ng DDS. Nagsimula siya sa pagka-PO3 in 1989 at nag-retire po siya as SPO4. In 1989, na-assign siya sa Mayor's Unit of the DCPO kasama yung ibang mga miyembro ng Anti-Crime Task Force. Yung Anti-Crime Task Force plus the Lambada Boys comprised the DDS from 1988 up to 1998. MRRD's co-founder of the DDS was Major Ernesto Macasait. Pinangalanan din po niya, nasa slides, yung ibang members of the Anti-Crime Task Force. Pero bago yung DDS, part po si Arturo Las Cañas ng Intel Group of Task Force Aguila, where he found out that then fiscal RRD, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, was a covert member of the People's Court of the CPP-NPA in Davao and tried policemen, soldiers, and other government officials in absentia to be later assassinated by the NPA Sparrow Unit. Sabi pa ni Las Cañas, nakuha daw po yung ideya ni MRRD of putting up the DDS from the NPA People's Court Sparrow Unit. In 2001, na-reorganize po yung DDS into the Heinous Crime Investigation Section Task Force at si Las Cañas po ang naging team leader for field operations. Sinabi rin ni Mr. Las Cañas na yung non-laban bonus actually originated from the DDS model. Ang tawag po nila noon is salida or scenario. He testified before the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights in September 26. That was when he first testified before the Senate. I was still the presiding officer as the chairperson of that committee before I was ousted. And he denied Matubato's accusations. Pero he resurfaced in January 2017. Kung natatandaan niyo po, meron siyang press con. At sinabi na nga niya, inamin na niya na talagang miyembro siya ng DDS, na talagang meron DDS. In February 2017, nakakulong na po ako noon, he was again presented as a witness of the Senate Committee on Public Order and corroborated Matubato's testimony on the DDS. In 2020, he was granted limited immunity by the ICC and submitted his 186-page statement. I also have a copy of the Las Cañas ICC affidavit. It's thick, it's very thick, masyado pong detalyado, consists of 186 pages and 295 paragraphs. Yan po yung kanyang affidavit. You will notice na pirma lang po ang nakalagay dyan. Ang explanation po dyan is that this was signed by Mr. Las Cañas before he formally submitted this to the ICC. Kasi presumably, dun na siya mag-o-oath before the ICC investigators. But in a video, next one please, in-authenticate niya yung signatures niya dito sa mga affidavit na to na may kopya, may kopya dito mga affidavit, na ito daw, okay, can we play that please? Let's play that please. That is Mr. Arturo Las Cañas. Where is the sound? The volume, please. Audio.
Audio, please. Technical team. This is Mr. Las Cañas.
Yes, yes, Your Honor. Mahaba lang, naging mahaba na yung kanyang.
So in effect, he is saying that that's
Yes.
it. No, he's going to sign in front of.
He signed it last October 8, 2020. And in November, yun na po yung pag-submit. Actually, he submitted it on that day, October 8. My information is that he submitted it on that day. Also, nung inauthenticate niya, yung 186-page affidavit. Pero sa ICC po, the next month, November 2020, he was granted limited immunity as a witness. Ano naman po yung mga DDS operations and victims according to Las Cañas and all stated here in his ICC affidavit, and before that actually meron din siyang affidavit nung binawi na niya nun sa Senate, but that's a shorter affidavit. Ito po yun. No, it's not. Where is it? Yung kanina.
Audio, please.
Mr. Chair, before we give the floor to allow the good senator to continue, may we request, Mr. Chair, the good senator to provide us the Quadcom, the copies of those affidavits for our individual appreciation. Thank you, Mr.
I intend to do that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
After
Thank you.
today's hearing,
Thank you, Madam
all
Senator.
the
Thank you,
affidavits that
Mr.
I
Chair.
mentioned. So this is the first affidavit of Mr. Las Cañas. This was executed February 19, 2017, nung binawin na niya po yung kanyang unang testimonya denying the existence of the DDS and his role in the DDS. Nung binawi niya, inamin na niya po na meron talagang DDS and he was very much part of it, yung DDS. Ito po, dito sa Pilipinas na sinubmit niya. Di hamak na mas comprehensive, mas kompleto, mas detalyado yung kanyang ICC affidavit. This whole thing here is his ICC affidavit. Mamamangha ko kayo kung magbasahin nyo tong ICC affidavit. Napakamaraming detalye. So in a nutshell, bibilisan ko na ho, DDS operations and victims according to Las Cañas. Ayan.
Excuse me, ma'am. You have a soft copy of that documents? Soft copy.
We will,
Kasi it's better for us to have the soft copy as well.
yes, yes,
For us to read it.
but right now, not yet.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
are
Okay.
preparing this. After today's hearing, I will submit
Thank you.
all
Thank
of
you, ma'am.
this. Thank you. Next slide, please. DDS operations and victims. Yeah. According to Las Cañas. Next slide. Sunod-sunod na po yan. Marami pong slides yan. Pero para ho hindi tumagal, yan ho natin dyan lahat. Those are the DDS operations and victims na alam ni Las Cañas because he either participated or in fact has knowledge about it. And in this, it was upon the orders of MRRD. Ayan, marami po yan. Next slide. Iba-ibang killings. Some are indeed suspected drug personalities. Iba petty criminals. Lalo na yung tungkol dun sa the brothers. Noong 2000, the killing of Aliyah brothers, all were minors. 4 po sila, lahat. Pinatay different dates dahil mga solvent users and mga out-of-school youth at mga involved daw sa mga gang riots. Pero 4 na magkakapatid. Hanggang ngayon, yung kanilang ina, naghahanap ng hustisya. Marami po yan. So we're now on 2014. Meron pa nga ho dito in 2013 to 2014. The killing of Mr. Christopher Yu, a Davao City businessman and brother of suspected carnapper Ryan Yu alias Bakten, as ordered by Bongo, cleared and approved by Mayor Rodrigo Duterte.
Mr. Chair, Senator De Lima, I just would like to mention yung the killing of Aliyah brothers
Aliyah.
to Attorney Conde, di ba? Yung 4 na pinatay.
They know that.
You please tell us kung ba't wala sila rito ngayon. Just tell us why they're not here today. Because we invited them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, hindi po ako attorney. Ako po isang hamak na researcher lang po. Ito po si Attorney Conti po. Ako po ay si Carlos Conde. Opo, kasama po ako sa mga inanyayahan ng committee na mag-testify ngayon dito. At initially pumayag po si Mrs. Aliyah na pumunta dito. Kaso at the last minute, she backed out and also her relatives and supporters because of concerns about her security. So, yun po ang sinabi, kaya hindi po siya nakapunta dito.
Taga saan po sila?
Sa Davao City po. Doon pa rin po sila nakatira sa Davao City.
Go ahead, Senator De Lima.
Nakita niyo po napakahabang listahan ng mga DDS operations and victims according to Mr. Las Cañas. Detalyado po yan sa kanyang ICC affidavit. Every incident the time, the who, the why, the what. Nandyan po sa kanyang ICC affidavit. So, kasama po sa mga DDS operations na yan, so go on, after. Ito yung some of them, ito naman po yung mga specific incidents of massacre. Massacre because the victims are in a number. I mean, more than one, more than two. So massacre upon orders of MRRD, according to Las Cañas. 1992 to 1995, hindi lang siya sigurado kung which of this year. Abduction and massacre of the Patasaha family in the Laod Quarry. 1996, massacre of 5 chicken farm workers in Laod Quarry. 1999 to 2000, 2 cases of abduction and killing of 3 Muslim individuals suspected of being big-time shabu pushers from Cotabato City. The abduction was led by then Police Major Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Abduction and killing of 2 Muslim individuals in Mati, Davao Oriental, as ordered by then Police Major Ronald Bato de la Rosa and cleared by then Davao City 1st Congressman Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Kasi nung panahon pong yun, congressman po siya from 1999, if I'm not mistaken, or 1998 or 1999 to 2001. 2004 is the massacre of 11 Chinese Shabu laboratory chemists and workers in Laod Quarry. 2005, between 2005 to 2007, massacre of 6 suspected pickpocket and shoplifting artists. They threw their bodies outside Davao City. 2000 to 2008, killings of the abducted persons in Laod Quarry. 1 was a Taiwanese national and 2 were Filipino nationals, whom Las Cañas thinks were collateral damage. Between 2008 to 2009, massacre of 3 Maranao Muslims suspected of being pickpockets and shoplift artists in Davao City. They threw their dead bodies in Davao Gulf. 2010, between 2010 to 2013, massacre of construction workers in Laod Quarry as witnessed by Mr. Sami Uy. Yun po yung enumeration ng mga some of the specific incidents of massacre. Again, manluluho po kayo kung babasahin nyo yung affidavit mismo ni Mr. Las Cañas. Last hearing, next slide please, I presented to you this organizational structure, the DDS organizational structure from 2001 to 2016, nung naging heinous crime investigation section na po yung anti-crime task force. So generalized lang po yan na chart, diagram of the organizational structure. Si Mr. Las Cañas po, meron po siyang ginawa na diagram din ng organizational structure ng DDS. This is supposed to be his own handwriting. The DDS inside the Anti-Crime Task Force in Davao City from 1989 to 1998. You will remember when I first made my presentation, there were actually 2 periods for the DDS, 1989 to 1998, then 2001 to 2016. The next slide would show the typewritten or printed version of this diagram as prepared by Arturo Las Cañas. So yan po yan. Pinaka nasa taas si Davao City Mayor RRD alias Superman, tapos sila SPO4 Sunny Beneventura, the Chief Security of MRRD, Major Ernesto Macasaet of Anti-Crime Task Force Commander, and then meron Intel Network na mga galing sa barangay. Nandyan din po yung si Inspector Rodolfo Asenista, Deputy Commander, SPO4 Teodoro Pagidupon, Handler Banquerohan, Force Multiplier Players, SPO4 Desiderio Cloribel, Overall Team Leader, SPO4 Ben Laud, Handler Agdao Force, Multiplier Players, mass grave laod quarry. At iba pa, meron pa ho siyang mga binanggit na mga personality dito that part of the Anti-Crime Task Force noong 1989 to 1998. Then, there is somewhat modified diagram covering naman po yung period of 1998 to 2001 when Rodrigo Roa Duterte was 1st District Congressman. And siya rin po ang nandyan pa rin sa DDS. And nandyan pa rin sila Sonny Benaventura, SPO4 Desiderio Di Cloribel, and then Chief Inspector Ronald Batod de la Rosa, Chief PAOK TF of Davao City. At linilink ho sa kanya itong the Macdum case and several abductions and killings, according to Mr. Las Cañas. Yan, meron hong mga detalyado na mga mga information, facts, more about the DDS multipliers. Then, to 2001 to 2016, meron uling modified chart or diagram of the DDS structure. Nandyan pa rin si MRRD. Nandyan yung Barangay Intel Network kasi doon nga ho nanggagaling mainly yung mga listahan na mga targets. Then, nandyan po the former NBI Director, Attorney Dante Guieran. He's been mentioned by both Matobato and Las Cañas. Nandyan pa rin si Sonny Benaventura, si Ben Laod, and then itong si Deputy Major Mascarinas Agdao, handler of players. And then, of course, si Arturo Las Cañas mismo as overall team leader and operation planning. He enumerated kung sino yung mga under him as overall team leader and operation planning. Sila Senior Inspector Fulgencio Pavo, SPO4, Reynaldo Capute, PO3, June Naresima, PO3 Arnold de Chavez, PO3 June Ayaw, PO3 June Humawan, PO3 Rizalino Aquino, PO3 Ben Furog, PO2 Ronald Lau. Meron din ho mga civilian assets. In the same affidavit, Las Cañas, next please, also identified the individuals directly and indirectly connected to the operations, the barangay officials directly and indirectly involved in the DDS killing spree, and the financial supporters of the DDS. Nandyan po ang listahan. Ang last ko po, as finale, is another video of Mr. Las Cañas, but this is supposed to be on the same date, October 8, 2020. But I understand, I have a note here that the tech guys are working on the audio. They're having a problem on the audio. So if we can please request for a short break or suspension just to fix the audio.
Okay, 1 minute suspension.